So I know this is maybe considered old news now. It's been about a week or so, but I know we made a post, and by we I mean Josh, about Myles Garrett not attending the voluntary workouts, and it seemed like Browns Nation was very split on this, on whether this is a problem or not. So I was like, we should talk about this, because I know how I feel, and I'm pretty sure it's differently than how Josh feels, and I don't know how John feels because he never talks, but we're going to try to get him to say some things now. So Josh, why don't you tell us your thoughts, because it was out there on Twitter and people have already kind of reacted to that, and then we'll kind of jump in from there.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of took the approach of, and I totally understand what everybody's saying, and I do agree. It's not that big of a deal as far as what – he's not missing anything on the field. And I wasn't advocating for him to be on the field running drills, doing anything, no TAs. Anyway, it was more of the lack of his veteran presence with all the new teammates that the defense has brought in for the defensive line. I mean, that whole line is new. So many new guys. Young guys, you got Ika, the rookie, Thornhill's there. It's just, I would have liked to see him there building camaraderie with the guys as soon as possible, with the coaching staff. That was kind of my perspective of it.
Okay. Well, before we get into it, you mentioned Thornhill. Mm-hmm. Has anybody bought into loving Cleveland more than Thornhill already?
If you don't love that guy, I mean,
man,
I keep getting Chiefs fans in comment sections and on Twitter and stuff saying we miss him, we want him back.
Man, so. I hope he's not John Johnson. I hope this translates to on the field, because as far as just buying into the Cleveland culture, he's been awesome so far. My thoughts on the Myles thing is it just doesn't matter 0%. The way I look at it is, does it have an effect on the locker room? Is any player think less of Myles because he wasn't there? I would say no. Does any coach think less of Myles? Maybe a small percentage of their inner coach wishes he was there. But we have to remember too, this isn't high school or even college. These guys this is professional athletes at this point. They're there to do a job. It's one of those things where as long as he gets the job done, it kind of I don't care what he does. And at some point, I feel like as a veteran, especially if you're a high value added veteran like Myles is, I mean, he's one of the best players in Cleveland Browns history statistically. You kind of earn the right to not have to go to these things. And then I just kind of looked at it too as I would never go to work if I didn't have to. And at the end of the day, I know as fans, we want him to be rah and stuff. And at a certain point, they have to get that way to buy in a little bit and stuff like that. But it's a job. And I would challenge anybody here, if the boss said tomorrow's day is voluntary, you'll still get paid even if you don't come in. How many of you would go to your job?
But I understand, and it's not an unfair point at all. And John, you'll have to talk at some point here about this too. And as soon as I'm done talking, you can go ahead. But I mean, this is such an entertainment business, though. I mean, I know it's just a job, but at the same time, you don't go to your job and perform in front of thousands of fans every week. You know what I mean? And for years, those stands have been filled with fans that have just watched garbage. And now with all the hype and all these players and the new coaches and everything, it's you just want to see everybody doing everything possible.
But to play devil, Nick Chubb wasn't there.
I know, and in my tweet, I did up front say this is double standards.
So
100%. Because on the offensive side of the ball, it's pretty much business as usual under Kevin Stefanski for the last 3 years.
But there's so many new pieces on offense. So many new pieces. Almost the entire wide receiver core is new.
2 of them.
Of the 4. That's like 50%.
Okay, all right. I keep forgetting about Goodwin too.
But Myles is not really a hoorah leadership kind of guy.
No, I know he's not. You
know what I mean? That's just, so he just kind of goes out and leads by leading the team in sacks every year. So it didn't bother me. I just never, if I want him to be there, then it has to be mandatory. I would never in a million years go to my job if I didn't have to. I can't expect other people to do that. And like I said, it doesn't negatively affect the locker room, at least not in my opinion. If I thought that because Myles wasn't there, it was causing like a rift, and some of these new guys were like, well, if Myles isn't here, they're they're not worried about what Myles is doing. They're worried about taking care of their own business. So it just was not an issue for me. At least that's where I stood on it. What about you?
Okay. I see both sides, kind of like Josh was saying. As soon as you brought this up as a topic, my initial thought was, man, who cares? Like, it doesn't bother me. It is voluntary. So, you know, I don't have a problem with anybody not showing up unless, you know, you're trying to make the team. Then that's a really bad look. But Myles he's done everything like you said he has to do, and I just don't see a big issue that he's not there. And I don't think fans should be trying to, like, create a problem where one doesn't exist. Or the media, for that
Have
matter.
you met Cleveland fans?
I have. Yep, I'm born and raised into a family of people that say really dumb things all the time.
Cleveland fan, I mean, it's like the Donovan Mitchell thing. We just look for things to be mad about. We're not happy unless like somebody is against us or something of that nature.
Yeah, and Cleveland media is also very bad.
We've gotten into that before. Now I will say this: if early in the season Myles is struggling, then I could see this becoming a talking point. Like, coming into this season, he's got 1 sack through 3 games. Maybe he should have taken the offseason more seriously.
We should trade him. He obviously doesn't want to be here.
I personally don't think there's a correlation at all between the voluntary workouts to him performing in the season, but you know Cleveland media will write that kind of stuff. If he has a slow start to the season, it'll be like he wasn't there early with Jim Schwartz. He's behind the 8 ball in the playbook, blah, 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 and it'll just be super annoying.
It was good here in the first, day or two of the mandatory minicamp, seeing like the clips of him and Zadarius Smith kind of breaking it down and having some fun, feeling a little loose out there. So
I think Smith is going to be good for Myles too.
I think so. I hope so.
Because Smith is, at least from what I can tell so far, he hasn't been on the team very long. Smith seems to be more of a vocal guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Myles is he's not really a vocal leader. He's kind of a quiet guy.
No, and you're right, because if they're not looking to Myles to be that guy, because Smith has already taken that role and he's running with it, that's great. It takes pressure off Myles, because Clowney wasn't that guy.
No. Listen, as well as Clowney played in the first season for the Browns, and I was happy with it, that dude is there for one reason and one reason only, and he's never made any bones about it since he entered the league. He's there for a paycheck.
Yep.
He is not there to be the leader. He's not there for anything other than the paycheck. Yeah. But no, Smith seems to have bought into Cleveland. He seems very happy to be here. And he kind of seems to be more of like the rah-rah vocal leader guy and then, like you said, that takes pressure off of Myles. That allows Myles to be more of himself. He doesn't have to try to be something he's not. Mm-hmm. So we kind of talked about this before we came on. I think if everybody stays healthy on this defense, that Myles, like, if he's going to go off.
I think so this year. I don't see why not.
The fact that a quarterback's not going to be able to hopefully not going to be able to just step up into the pocket, it's going to allow him to get home so much.
And the pressure that we can generate, not just from the middle there too, but the other side. I mean, we've got pass rush. I mean, the depth on the edge now is just insane.
Like, if I set the over under at 19 sacks for Myles this year, would you take the over or the under?
Barring no injuries, right?
Yeah, let's just say in a perfect world, everybody stays healthy this year.
I'd take the over. I would.
I think I'd be tempted to.
Like, I think he's finally got the interior D line help and the opposite pass rusher help. I would take the over.
Yeah, because Smith's over there, Obo's over there, McGuire's over there, Wright's over there.
You can move these people around.
Isaiah Thomas over there.
There's going to be so much versatility on the line that we haven't had in years past.
Right.
No, I think Myles is, I don't want to call it a breakout year because he has obviously been a stud every year since he's come into the league, but it could really be like a coming out party for Myles if everybody can stay healthy, which is saying something because he's been a defensive player of the year candidate, 3 years in a row. And we're talking about him having a coming out party. But man, I think if he stays healthy and the people around him stay healthy, we could
a lot of random drug tests for that guy.
we could see, and we we could see a full season Myles. You know, no car wrecks, no COVIDs, no hitting somebody with helmets. You know what I mean? You know, if he can avoid that thing that
Just
seems
football.
to
Just play football.
Yes, that always seems to plague him. I just think this could be a crazy good year for Myles, like a crazy good year. But no, so let us know what you guys think. I know it was a little bit old news, but I haven't been on an episode in, you know, a week and a half. So I want to jump on and kind of give you guys my thoughts. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Was it a problem he was there, or is it no big deal?
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.